Thank you.
Two more things. Also, you probably already have, but your go to set cockpit and cabin lighting as well as DU brightness per your preference. We are well out of the eclipse.
You're right, we have. Thank you.
I figured you might have, and we're also at that time where we're ready for you to do the CCU dump, and I have a procedure when you're ready to copy.
Stand by on that one.
Standing by.
Okay, Houston, we are ready to copy the CCU dump procedure.
Okay, it is 26.2.201 CCU dump, and step 1.1 is complete for configuring heaters. We've done that from the ground.
Okay, Houston, we copy. Thank you.
And as an additional, once you get there, there's a check step in step 5.1 for confirming heaters reach set point. They are there, so you're good to continue once you get there.
Okay, we copy your 1.1 and 5.1. Thanks.
Capcom Amy Dill has been communicating with the crew aboard Orion, letting them know they will be able to turn down the fan inside the spacecraft, and is also going to work with them on how to empty the CCU. That's the collapsible contingency urinal. As you heard earlier, the crew had some time troubleshooting the toilet. That has since been resolved, and they are now able to empty and process what was used before they used the toilet.
Houston, integrity. Question on CCU dump. Also a status. The O2 N2 med checkout activity is complete.
Copy status, ready for question.
Yes, the CUD-1 ECFA was not installed yet. I have located it. Am I go to remove all of the packaging around the connectors and go ahead and connect it to CUD-1, or is there a procedure I should be referred to for that?
And Christina, you are go to remove all the packaging and to connect ECFA to CUD-1.
Copy all.
Integrity Houston for upcoming conference.
Go ahead for upcoming conference.
Whenever you're ready, we can privatize Orion to Earth 2.
This is Mission Control Houston, continuing to monitor the flight of Orion on the Artemis II mission, first flight of humans aboard the spacecraft. Orion is now over 32,000 miles from Earth since launching 6 hours and 48 minutes ago. Again, we're looking at an approximately 10-day mission. The crew will soon be stepping into their private medical conferences. These are scheduled to allow the crew time to report down to the ground on how they are feeling during the mission. Once the crew completes their private medical conferences, they will be able to start winding down and getting into their pre-sleep period. They will have a chance to take a nap, essentially, before waking up for their perigee raise burn monitoring operations. Once perigee raise burn is complete, and again, perigee raise burn is to lift the lowest point of Orion's orbit around the Earth, and we are in a high Earth orbit. Once perigee raise burn is complete, we will have the crew go back to sleep for another several hours before they wake up tomorrow at about 2100 MET, actually about 2000 MET, which is around 1:15 p.m. Houston time, Central Time. It'll be a busy day for the crew tomorrow. They will have their first full day inside the spacecraft. They'll have the opportunity to talk about the vehicle status with the crew in Mission Control Houston. They will also begin exercising. And again, with that private medical conference coming up, we do take the action to privatize the loops so the crew can share however they are feeling with teams here on the ground below, and their health and medical status is protected. The main thing on their timeline tomorrow will be the translunar injection burn. This is the burn that will commit us to flying around the moon, leaving high Earth orbit, and eventually returning back home to Earth after swinging around the moon.
Integrity Houston, Orion to Earth 2 is privatized for your conference.
Orion Earth 1.
Houston's here.
You can go ahead and normalize Orion Earth 2, and then Reed is going to have a PCD question. I'm having a little bit of network issues. I need some troubleshooting assistance.
Copy, we will normalize.
Teams here in Mission Control Houston are normalizing the flight loop for Orion to communicate back with the Artemis Mission Control Room. They were able to privatize that flight loop and allow the crew to discuss with flight doctors how they feel after today's launch and events. We plan these private medical conferences throughout the mission for them to report down how they're feeling.
Integrity Houston, we are ready for your PCD questions whenever you are.
Okay, Amy, this is just on PCD1, logged in users, CDR. When I am trying to open Optimus, I am getting an error. Let me open it and try to read the error I'm getting.
We copy so far.
So I get a screen that says, "Welcome to Optimus tablet" with an exclamation point, and it says, "We need to gather some basic information to get you started," and it's got 3 questions. But then laying on top of that, about 1/5 of the size of the PCD, is a pop-up window that says, "Network error. Operating system is reporting access to internet as unavailable. Check to see if device has network capabilities enabled."
We copy, and we are chatting.
Copy. Troubleshooting steps I have tried is I've tried running the network config to Wi-Fi, and I have also tried a shutdown reboot, but I'm open to trying those things again.
Copy your troubleshooting so far.
That's NASA astronaut and Commander Reed Wiseman calling down about some issues he's having with his portable computing device, or PCD. Those are the tablets that the crew often uses. He's looking to access one of our networks that we use for timeline planning called Optimus. Teams here on the ground are helping him troubleshoot that.
Stowage question when you have a second.
Ready for stowage question.
As we are working on the Eclipse wall, we need new, fresh comfort garment stowage location for Christina and Jeremy. We're having a little bit of trouble finding their new comfort garments because we're going to stow them with the suits.
Copy. We will look that up and get back to you when we have it. Integrity Houston for comfort garment locations.
Go.
Thermal comfort garments for Christina and Jeremy are in Foxtrot 3 CTB large, labeled med kits with a purple label.
Copy, we're checking it out.
Houston Integrity for CCU dump, step 6.1, requesting that you deactivate the secondary wastewater dump line heaters.
Copy, thanks for the call. We will go ahead and leave those on for your awareness.
Copy.
Integrity Houston for read PCD troubleshooting.
Go ahead, Amy.
Okay, Reed, we suspect the issue with your PCD may be Optimus software. We were able to connect to PCD1 on, we can see it on the network, so with your go, we can remote in and take a look directly.
Yeah, go for it. And then I also see that I have 2 Microsoft Outlooks, and neither one of those are working. If you want to remote in and check Optimus and those 2 Outlooks, that would be awesome.
All right, we will join in on your PCD and we'll let you know when we're done. Integrity Houston, for your awareness, we have increased the ping timeout to 2 hours, 51 minutes to encompass the KUS PDL Compass.
Okay, Amy, we are pretty knee-deep in cabin config. Just confirm we are not expecting a forward or return link LOS for the next little bit.
Correct.
Coming up on 7 hours and 15 minutes since launch today. Orion now over 33,000 miles from Earth. Our 4 crew members aboard getting settled in to the spacecraft. Most recently, Commander Reed Wiseman calling down.
Integrity, Houston, 1 minute to DTE handover.
Most recently, Commander Reed Wiseman calling down to discuss his portable computing device and making sure they can get it connected to the network. The crew is getting into the end of their day, a very long day for our astronauts. They are officially in their pre-sleep period, working through that checklist, and will soon be moving into the sleep portion of their day. They're only going to get about 4 hours of sleep before they need to wake up and monitor the perigee raise maneuver burn. That perigee raise burn will lift the lowest point of Orion's orbit around the Earth. And again, we are in a high Earth orbit, a little bit different than what we're used to aboard the International Space Station in a low Earth orbit. At any time, the International Space Station flies about 250 statute miles over the planet, and obviously we are now over 33,000 miles away from our home planet. That perigee raise burn will set Orion up in its proper positioning ahead of the translunar injection burn tomorrow, one of the major milestones on the crew's timeline tomorrow. And that translunar injection burn will be what sends us to the moon and also commits us to coming home. Once the perigee raise burn is complete tonight, that'll be around 6:15 a.m. Houston time, the crew will get to go back to sleep for almost 5 more hours before they wake up. So they will get a total night's sleep, just divided because of that perigee raise burn. This evening, after completing the proximity operations demonstration, the crew has been working in the cabin to stow everything that they've been using so far and configure it for the rest of the mission. Tomorrow, they'll have time for space adaptation, helping them get used to the microgravity environment. They all have a midday meal scheduled at the same time. Of course, again, they will monitor those burn operations and conduct some exercise.
Integrity Houston, comm check on DTE pass.
Houston, we have you loud and clear, Alice.
Loud and clear.
Excellent. We're just going to continue running through cabin config.
We copy.
And Amy, I got a stowage note for you. We stowed our used comfort garments in Ziploc bags in the F4 locker, in the off-nominal waste management system comfort garment bag, which was empty.
We copy.
7 hours, 26 minutes since the launch of Orion atop the Space Launch System rocket for the Artemis II mission. Our 4 astronauts now over 34,000 miles away from Earth. Throughout the mission, astronaut voices, images, video, and vital mission data
Houston's here. Say again.
For the right RHC, C2 RHC, is there any way you all can open the RPC for that and save us the commanding?
Checking.
Commander Reed Wiseman calling down about the rotational hand controller that was used earlier during the proximity operations demonstration. And again, those communications and data throughout the mission has to travel thousands of miles and is carried on signals from NASA's powerful communications systems, including the Near Space Network and the Deep Space Network. Let's learn a little bit more about those.
NASA's Artemis II will send 4 astronauts around the moon, preparing humanity for a long-term lunar presence and future journeys to Mars. Enabling communication and navigation for this test flight are NASA's Near Space Network and Deep Space Network. With antennas around the world and a fleet of relay satellites, the networks will deliver vital data to and from Earth through all phases of the mission. The networks are seamlessly integrated at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, where Mission Control coordinates the network handovers. These transfers represent a delicate dance between the 2 networks, exchanging support as the mission shoots toward the moon. On the launch pad and during their early orbit phases, NASA's Orion spacecraft and Space Launch System rocket will rely on communications and tracking services from the Near Space Network. After its translunar injection burn, the Deep Space Network's global array of antennas will serve as Orion's primary communication support during lunar orbit. As the mission journeys farther into space and away from Earth, signal strength weakens and bandwidth is conserved for crew communications. The astronauts will have a near constant connection to Earth, ensuring their safety on a journey farther into space than ever before. We say near constant because as Orion goes behind the moon, a planned loss in communications will occur. The Deep Space Network will be standing by to reacquire the signal as Orion reappears. The Artemis II mission also provides an opportunity to test new capabilities. Using laser links, NASA will periodically transmit Orion data to showcase the benefits laser communications could have for future human spaceflight missions. The data from Orion, sent by radio signals or laser links, is massive. The mission is gathering images, data, and video, while also generating details about mission health and crew voice files. All of that data gets processed here on Earth, where systems compress it for efficiency. In the future, we'll upgrade these systems on Earth so that image and video clarity improve with each moon mission. With the Artemis II test flight, we're evaluating the communications infrastructure that will help carry us into the future as we explore the moon and journey forward to Mars.
Seven hours, 30 minutes since launch of Orion, and we are on,
And Integrity Houston affirm we will perform the right RHC RPC open command from the ground.
Okay, Amy, thank you very much. That helps.
That's Capcom Amy Dill down near the bottom of your screen, and to her right, NASA astronaut Raja Chari communicating with commander of this mission, Reed Wiseman, currently aboard Orion. Wiseman initially called out about the rotational hand controller, and Dill confirmed they would activate the RPC, the remote power controller, to alleviate the crew from having to execute that action. as I was discussing, the crew went on the Deep Space Network just before their proximity operations demonstration earlier tonight. They became the first crew in over 50 years to use the Deep Space Network, as we continuously have people in low Earth orbit aboard the International Space Station, and they use a tracking data relay satellite system. Again, we are going to continue to hear fewer calls from the crew as they are now in their pre-sleep portion of their day. During pre-sleep, the crew gets ready to go to bed for the night. That includes everything from hanging up their sleeping bags to stowing any equipment and personal items to make sure they're not floating about the spacecraft. They also eventually, once all of the rest of their checklist is complete, will install some window shades over the windows aboard Orion. They have the option to do so if they choose. They also have the opportunity to put on earplugs and sleep masks. Of course, this is all crew preference. And eventually, last but not least, turn off the cabin lights and get some rest. 7 hours and 40 minutes into the flight of Orion on the Artemis II mission. Overall, about a 10-day mission. The crew is winding down their day. It's been a long day for them. They woke up about 8 hours prior to launch, so they're on almost a 16-hour-long day at this point, being that it takes quite a while to get suited up and ready for the mission. After launch, the spacecraft completed the perigee raise maneuver and then the apogee raise burn before the crew was able to conduct the prox ops demo. That is when pilot Victor Glover manually flew Orion, the first time anyone has done so, and maneuvered it around the ICPS, the interim cryogenic propulsion stage, which had just detached from the spacecraft. That demonstration was all to help us prepare for future missions in which Orion will need to dock to a lunar lander and descend to the lunar surface. Following the prox ops demonstration, Orion completed the upper stage separation burn, giving it distance between Orion and the interim cryogenic propulsion stage itself having a disposal burn. Since then, the astronauts have been working about the cabin, stowing their suits that they wore into orbit, configuring the cabin for the rest of the mission, and they also conducted their private medical conferences, speaking with teams here on the ground about how they were feeling after their launch day. They are now in their pre-sleep portion of the day. They're going to get a few hours of sleep before the apogee raise burn, the perigee raise burn. That'll be at 12:55 MET, so about 6:30 a.m. Houston time, just a little bit before that. That perigee raise burn will lift the lowest point of Orion's orbit around the Earth. We are in a high Earth orbit, now over 35,000 miles from Earth. 7 hours and 56 minutes into the flight of Orion on the Artemis II mission, our 4 astronauts in their pre-sleep period as Orion is in a high Earth orbit. We're spending approximately 24 hours in this high Earth orbit to allow the crew to check out all of the systems aboard the spacecraft before committing to going to the moon in tomorrow's translunar injection burn. This is a test flight, so everything with humans aboard this flight is being tested for the first time. This time in high Earth orbit, that approximately 24 hours, allows us to check all of these systems and make sure that they work properly and that we are comfortable flying humans farther than we've gone in over 50 years.
Houston, integrity for cabin transit config steps.
Houston's with you.
First off, can we get a go for step 7?
Checking. Christina, you are go for step 7.
Copy. And I can give you step 8 is complete. Counterbalance pressure is 2,600.
We copy.
NASA astronaut Christina Cook calling down to teams here in Artemis Flight Control at Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas. They're continuing to step through some cabin configuration procedures while they're in their pre-sleep period, making sure everything is set up properly before they get some sleep for tonight. On the bottom right of your screen, you see Capcom Amy Dill down toward the left, and up toward the top of that screen is Flight Director Jeff Radigan. It's been just over 8 hours into the flight of Artemis 2. A successful liftoff and ascent for Orion